We're halfway through the year, almost.
Yes, we are.
Right? We're coming to the end of June.
We are.
You know me, I like to take stock of things. I like new months. I like new days.
Yeah.
But I also like to look back. So, my question to you today, first of all, what would you give the first half of the year if you were going to give it a letter grade?
Oh,
and then
okay.
3 positive things and 3 neutral to negative things that stick out in your mind from the first half of the year.
Ooh.
We can go back and forth.
This is a long question.
Well, I don't have much else planned today, so we're kind of going to just wing it and talk about generally. We got a couple fitness questions, but I figured take stock of the year.
I love that.
We didn't start the podcast immediately up from when the year started, but we've been pretty consistently doing a podcast for the past, I don't know, 12 weeks, I think.
At least,
probably more than that.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice to kind of look back.
Yeah, I think it's nice too.
So,
I'd probably give it an A-.
Yeah.
It's been a good year so far, I think.
I also would probably give it an A- to A.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, obviously there's been some rough stuff, you know, but personally, I think overall A.
Yeah. I
for
think
me.
so.
All right. What's a positive thing that's happened? And I'll do a negative thing because that's just me, maybe.
I feel like this year I've had more time for like creativity, and I've really enjoyed that.
You really have.
I've had some more time for being creative. I mean, I've kind of let some things slide. Like I haven't vacuumed as often as I think I probably should. But I've really,
Says who?
But I've really enjoyed. Well, it says the
but has
debris
that
on the floor.
Come on with the debris. Has that taken away? Has that dropped the grade any further? No. You still.
I mean,
still an
it has dropped the grade. That's why it's an A-, I think.
Because you haven't vacuumed as much?
In general, I have not been as on top of stuff around the house.
Okay, so generally you'd say, but I guess this is the difference between you and I.
Yeah, you don't notice stuff like this. You don't care.
It's a blessing. I really don't. I don't know. What else am I supposed to do?
I don't know. It's just that's the one negative thing is I haven't had like as much time as usual to kind of keep up with stuff. But it's because I've been doing things that I enjoy and like I guess prioritizing my leisure time.
So then I guess what I'm trying to ask is how is that a negative thing?
Because I would like to be able to do both. Yeah.
But there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
So which one you prioritize is the one that gets the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I understand that. I'm not saying you feel wrong. I guess it's just it's such a foreign concept to me that I don't really get it. Speaking of that, I got to change the laundry. See, I'm doing chores. Don't you worry about it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You do a great job. Even though it's not something that you notice, you still keep up with it.
You can ask my friends. We lived in college in maybe the most horrendous living situation. It was 4 dudes,
bad.
2 bedrooms, 1 common area. And it was a nightmare. But I know that only because you told me that.
Right.
My perspective was like, oh, this is chill. Like we only have to take the trash out once a month because we bought a 50-gallon trash bag.
It smelled so bad.
I never noticed that. The bathroom was horrendous. Again, it was just something that was like over my head.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very clean house. I don't know how this is just something that I don't really pay attention to.
I think we all have something that we just have total blinders for, and that's your thing. I mean, you just don't notice.
Clutter is a big one for. I just don't notice it being a problem. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, you don't notice clutter. You don't notice crumbs. You don't.
No. Well, I am the king of creating crumbs.
Yes,
too.
you are.
I wonder if that's like part of my issues with food. It's just like I'm so hyper fixated on the meal that I don't, because I've always been like this. But you can ask my dad; he would always get on to me about the crumbs. But I just eat so fast that like stuff's just debris is just falling out of me.
I know it's. I've never seen anybody create crumbs like you. It's really incredible.
My brother is the same way.
Yeah,
my brother is the same exact way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I create a lot of crumbs, and then I just don't notice it.
Honestly just funny. But yeah, it's the combination of
I think
making them and not noticing.
I'm just so focused on the meal, man. I don't have time. I have tried to be better. The other thing too is like our eating situation is not typical because we don't have a dining room table.
Yeah.
We eat at a coffee table that's broken, that is literally falling apart because you and I are so cheap. We will not buy like correct furniture. We probably should be eating dinner at this table.
We probably should.
But now this is the podcast table. So and this is another part of my OCD tendencies.
Yeah.
This is the podcast table. Nothing else can take place at this table except for the podcast. Am I lying?
No, you really are like that.
This is how I function.
So strange.
Things have their own function, and you cannot get them out of that function, or it makes me feel the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does.
I like
very funny.
You know, but what's funny too is we could move and redub this table because beforehand this was the junk table. This was just like where we put random stuff.
No,
in the kitchen.
It was like an extension of the kitchen counter.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it took me some time to be like, let's repurpose this. Like that was not an easy process for me.
Yeah, I think that's very funny.
I think it's very funny too, and I don't self-diagnose and say that I have OCD, but I definitely have some compulsive tendencies.
Yeah, like I remember there was one point. You bought an extra set of headphones.
Yeah.
Because you needed some for the being in the bed.
Yep.
And you needed some for
downstairs
for the gym.
Okay.
You couldn't use them both.
Let me explain myself. This sounds worse than it is. I think
it's really funny.
Let me explain. The gym headphones get incredibly sweaty.
Yeah.
Because I am a sweaty person.
You are a sweaty
Also, the gym it was a Bluetooth thing. The gym headphones were connected to my phone, and I didn't want to have to repair them to my laptop to watch TV on my laptop. So those are the two reasons. Okay. But also, the gym headphones were for the gym, and the bed headphones were for the bed. Okay, sure. And now, unfortunately, my old gym headphones have broken, and so I'm living like a commoner with one pair of headphones. And every time I switch them and I pair them to the other, because this is why it happened, because you were getting distracted by my anime and you wanted to read in the bed. So out of the goodness of my heart, I said, let me troubleshoot a solution for you. Let me get some headphones. So I bought a second pair. Those are your headphones.
I knew you already had headphones, so I didn't think it would be so cumbersome for you to buy a new pair.
You don't understand.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
10 seconds of annoyance that is provided to me by having to repair those headphones instead I would spend $150 on another pair of headphones because that's just how my brain works.
You have a wonderful and hilarious brain.
Funny stuff. But yeah, that is definitely how my brain works. Okay. Something negative that happened to me this year?
I can guess this one.
Oh, really? I don't even have one off the top of my head.
Oh, the air conditioner didn't occur to you?
Oh, yeah,
we've had some ongoing AC problems.
That has been an issue, but it's so recent that it hasn't yet set in as like a negative thing because we're still living in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily, we got like a Band-Aid fix. So today it's not 1,000 degrees in here.
Yeah, we're good.
But it's not great. It's not exactly what I would want, but it's not bad.
Yeah, we're fine.
I feel, when I look back at the end of the year, that's probably going to be a problem. But that's so recent now.
Yeah. That's fair.
I'm trying to think if obviously there have been bad things that happen. That's just life. But one of my greatest blessings and curses is my lack of being able to remember anything. Mm-hmm. Because on the positive side, I don't remember the good things unless you remind me of them. But also that's very great. I do not remember like awkward encounters, negative interactions with humans. I just don't remember.
You can just move past it.
It's not even that. It's just I don't process it. It just is no longer in my brain. I just don't remember. It's like, so I guess like I had to break up a fight at the gym a couple days ago.
And you told me about it so nonchalantly.
Well, it's just like not a thing. It wasn't. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
it was like
like weird.
It wasn't even a fight. It was just like a yelling match. But that type of stuff, like I don't know. I guess I just don't categorize things very well because. For somebody else, that would be a very negative experience for them. And that would be something that they looked back on and was like, that was a negative part of this year. For me, it's like, that's just part of life.
Like weird day at work.
Yeah. It doesn't really groove into my brain as something that I remember. Does that make sense?
I guess.
I don't know. Like I'm racking my brain. I don't know. I guess earlier in the year, still struggling with like, do I want to continue to do powerlifting? Because I was still coming off of, you know, the poor meet performance, and usually around the holidays, my sense of self gets a little dissolved. I'm with my family a lot. I revert back to some old patterns, especially with food. So like beginning of the year, usually January, February, I'm kind of like, well, do I want to continue? I'm always asking myself questions about like, what did I do last year that helped, and what did I do last year that hurt? And I'm overly negative, I think, a lot of the times. And I'm like, well, let me just reset everything. I'm getting better about that. But this year, I think at the beginning of the year, it's always like, man, I've eaten my weight in cookies from Christmas. I haven't been in the gym the way that I wanted to be in the gym. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
That's a lot of the questions that I ask myself. I wonder if that'll ever go away.
I don't think that's something that should go away, though, necessarily.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a net negative.
I think the ability to self-reflect and create goals is a really good skill. I think sometimes for you, it does skew a little bit too negative.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that has improved over time. You're not as hard on yourself as you used to be.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting better with that.
So I think it's actually a really positive skill to have.
I just have to keep it in check and not let it get too negative, because I always do tend to just get very, very negative about it.
Yeah, you tend to be very hard on yourself and get down on yourself.
One positive thing that happened for me, I realized this year how much I love coaching in a way that was different than how I have in the past.
Oh.
So when I first started being a personal trainer, and this is why I'm very deliberate with my words and how I describe myself, because I don't feel like a personal trainer. In whatever connotation you have as a personal trainer, my connotation is like a season of, you know, maybe being with someone for 3 to 6 months, helping them lose a little bit of weight for a wedding or a vacation, and then they're done and that's it. For me, a coach is more of a long-term commitment. And I have a couple specific athletes that I have been with and have been with for almost a year plus now. And it is with those athletes that I start to really recognize how much I love that aspect of the coach-client relationship, just long-term stuff. And I know it's like, not everyone can afford that, first and foremost, a recurring monthly fee. Not everybody wants that. And I will still take on personal training lifestyle clients. But where I really find my fulfillment is in starting the process, either powerlifting or bodybuilding, and building so much data that now with a lot of my clients, I can say, well, do you remember a year ago where you were? And troubleshoot with them from there. It's just, that's a really, really cool part about coaching that I want to move more towards. Yeah. It's more of the long-term relationship type of stuff.
That's cool. I like that.
So that was a positive thing.
I had never thought about the difference between the connotations, or like what we understand of a personal trainer versus a coach. I had never given that any thought.
I don't think the layperson outside of our industry even would think that there would be a difference, because I think
there definitely is, but
at the surface level there really isn't. It's you have expertise that I do not have, that I would like to glean from you to be able to make a change. Yeah. For me, the difference becomes commitment on both sides. As a coach, and maybe this is me looking at it the wrong way, as a coach, I have more of a commitment to you and your success than I do as a personal trainer. Now, that's probably because as a personal trainer, I've worked in a corporate, not great environment, primarily, in which the big problem is we don't do any of the sales. I mean, the personal trainers. So people get put on our roster. And by the time the people come to us, we have to do so much damage control because the sales process is so horrendous. It is so car salesman-y. It's just like I had so many horror stories of people who've felt like they've been tricked into buying personal training, felt like they were tricked into paying more than they wanted to. So I have to spend the first 2 or 3 months just getting them to trust me again, to rebuilding that relationship of trust, which is the most important thing. Yeah. If you don't trust that I know what I'm talking about,
you're not going to take any advice.
You're not going to listen to me, and then you're not going to change. And what does that do? It just perpetuates the cycle of, the personal trainers don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I wasted my money.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Also, there are bad personal trainers. I'm not
there
saying
are.
it's all the salespeople's fault.
Yeah.
But this relationship,
It starts off on the wrong foot.
most of the time, 90% of the time, it starts off on the wrong foot. There's just something about that sales relationship, especially now. I feel like nobody, because we've done so much work on like advertising and sales, people kind of get it. People understand, and they don't want to be sold to. You know what I mean? So you go into something like I'm a personal trainer. When I go into another gym and the first thing I'm met with is, hey, do you want personal training? It's like, dude,
No.
First of all, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people come into the gym and say, I know what I'm doing. You know, there are cases where people just want to be in there to train.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. But the way that my company and a lot of these, big global gyms do it is like, oh, it's a war of attrition. I just got to keep telling them, hey, you still look fat. You still look fat. You still look fat. You still look fat. And maybe you need to, because at its base, that's what it is. You're not experiencing. I see you've been in here for a couple of months. You're not experiencing the results that I thought that you wanted to experience. Maybe you should come over here. That's not the way that I sell.
Terrible.
Right. But that
makes me so sad.
That is an incredibly common tactic. So for a person,
I'm sure that's a very powerful tactic, to be
absolutely.
honest.
But again, it sets up the relationship for failure from the start. Because obviously we're in the results business, but if you tie everything to a number on the scale or how you look, that becomes very difficult, because not only does it make you seem like the client feels like the trainer doesn't know what they're doing, the trainer feels like the client is not putting in, or we have to crush them for them to see the results, or they're going to leave us. It just is such a toxic relationship.
And like everybody's just like walking on eggshells.
The whole relationship. And that is not how it should work. At least from personal experience, the people who have put their trust in me, the people whose trust I have earned through my expertise, through my ability to communicate, who have stayed with me longer term, are the people who do not tie as much of their worth to the scale or to how they look. It's more so the success. For my powerlifters, it's obviously, am I getting stronger? For my bodybuilders, it's more so, do I understand the process of bodybuilding? Do I understand how to take a set to failure? What these reps are supposed to feel like, rather than just ego lifting? So that's when the distinction for me between personal trainer and coach really makes itself known.
Right.
And I have realized that this year and have been turning completely towards coaching to the point where I've moved part-time at the gym and have really stepped out on a ledge and said, no, I want to do my own coaching business, whether it's online at a different gym, but I want it to be coaching focused rather than personal training focused.
Yeah. And a focus on giving knowledge and skills rather than focusing on losing weight or physique.
Because the other thing too is like, I've gone back and forth on like doing these like 12-week challenges, nothing against them. I think that they are very beneficial as a way for people to dip their toes in the water.
Yeah.
But I do not want my services to be associated with short term.
Yeah.
I want to be a long-term guy. And for me, that's a year, 2 years plus. The more I know you, the better results I can get you long-term.
Right. Well, and I think a big part of the problem with like weight loss and making healthy changes is that it has a relationship with being short term.
Right.
You know, so I'm going to do this for 12 weeks and I'm going to lose weight. And then what? You go back to your normal life and that's it. Right.
And that was a massive mistake that I made when I first started.
I think that's a mistake that almost everybody makes.
I was thinking, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, weight loss and being healthy, we think of as being a short-term thing.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm doing a weight loss challenge for myself on my Instagram. But why I'm doing that is because I have been very successful with putting on weight, putting on muscle, with taking off fat, but I have never been very successful with maintenance. So the reason I'm doing this 12-week challenge is to tell people about my process, but also to get to a level where then I can maintain that weight. That's going to be the real success for me.
Yeah.
Right? In all the marketing around weight loss, you're so right. It is like, just do this for a little bit, you lose a little bit of weight, and then you're good. You can go back. And this was the trap that I fell into.
Yeah.
there has to be long-term sustainable behavioral changes. Now, I'm not talking about remaining in a diet context forever.
No.
But there is no understanding for the general population about maintenance.
Yeah.
We're never, ever taught that.
No, we're not. And I mean, I think that's part of why you're not very good at it.
Right.
I think that's part of why everybody who's ever tried to lose weight has experienced,
I think, I don't know how they did this study. It may have just been on The Biggest Loser. You remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
So The Biggest Loser was a show where, they got obese people to come on and they trained them in a boot camp style.
Jillian Michaels.
It was
totally
very aggressive, right? But the ethical question was always, okay, they can do this while they're in this context, but what happens when they go home? It's like drug addicts.
It's like, have you equipped them with any tools to be successful?
So I think, now I don't know, but I think something like 90% of the people on that show regained the weight and gained more than when they started. And that's not their fault.
No.
Right? Like, obviously you have personal responsibility with what you're putting in your body. But if you go on a show that is centered around weight loss, centered around becoming a healthier version of you, you are not given any tools on what does this look like when I'm outside of this.
Or any knowledge about exercise or healthy eating.
I think what's very impactful is understanding the same way that you have triggers in your environment with if you are a drug user, if you're an alcoholic, you have to understand the same way. Because if you get to that level of obesity, there's something different than just, oh, I have a sweet tooth. 9 times out of 10, there's compulsive behavior there.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to go to a boot camp for 8 weeks. I'm going to lose, 70 pounds. These people were losing massive amounts of weight, but then they were not told, okay, well, when you go back to your office environment and there's 12 donuts always in the break room, here's a strategy to avoid the break room so that maybe you're not tempted into those donuts every time you go into work. Maybe on Mondays, it's a tough day. You go into the break room, you have a donut. Tuesday through Friday, we're going to avoid that area so that we're not in that position. It's the same thing that you would do with a drug user or an alcoholic.
Yeah. And I think also understanding the root of any addiction is really important too.
Right.
Like working with someone who can help you, recover from difficult times in your past and overcome.
I want to be very careful because I don't think anybody who struggles with weight is addicted to food. Right. It's hard to throw those words around, right?
Right.
But I think the behavior patterns that get you to that place are very similar to addiction.
Yeah. And if you're worried about that, you should talk to someone.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that point, probably somebody above my level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A mental health professional.
Absolutely.
Because, I have my own personal experience with food addiction and food compulsion and all that. But that does not mean that I have a medical license to then be able to treat you.
Help somebody else.
You got to go. And if you're a trainer or a coach and someone is, you're really either, too much weight or another form of
disordered eating. Yeah.
You have to recommend that they go and see somebody.
Yeah.
Like that is the ethical and the moral thing to do. You can't just say, you can't have a God complex and be like, I'm going to fix this person. It's like, they are above your pay grade at this point.
Yeah. It's like they need you and somebody else.
Exactly. Don't sever the relationship.
Right.
Don't be like, oh, no, I can't. Sorry.
I think this additional service would really help you.
Yeah. And like I said, NASM, listen, you don't need a certification to be a personal trainer. It's a lot of garbage. But one thing that they do really well is there's a whole chapter on further intervention.
Like, what is your scope?
Right.
And when do you need
to? And I think that's very impactful for people who come to the profession as gym rats already. A lot of personal trainers are already like, I know what I'm doing. I look at my body. I got to this point. Sure.
Yeah.
But a personal trainer is not how good you look. It is how much you can help the person in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Any more positives or negatives for the year?
I love working from home.
I was about to say your new job has been everything you wanted it to be and more.
Yeah, it has been really great. So that's been a big positive.
I have noticed a massive change just in your general demeanor, your quality of life.
Thank you very much.
To the point now where like you're taking on other hours and still treating patients, which do you remember how burnt out you were on treating patients at the end of your time?
I think I have blocked that out.
Well, I remember.
A lot of ways.
You were miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, you were grabbing on anything. You were learning to code. You were thinking about any other thing to get you out of this situation.
Yeah.
But now, a little bit of distance. You really like the thing that you're doing now.
Yeah.
And you're able to go back to treating patients when you feel like it.
Yeah. I think something that I never really considered was being an introvert. Like when I was choosing a career path, I never really considered how much time I was going to have to spend being
With people.
on.
Yeah.
I love people. I love getting to know people. I enjoy talking to people. I can't be by myself all the time, but
you can
to
for a long
do
time,
it for 8 hours a day, every day, 40 hours a week, full time, on with people. It was
crushing.
just too much.
Yeah.
It was too much. And I think a big part of the problem was I couldn't see a way out.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I experienced something very similar towards the end of last year, 2022, being just at my corporate gym, just being a personal trainer, and being like, something is wrong here. I've had glimmers of a great relationship with people, and I know that I want to do something fitness focused. I want to provide a service for people, but this just feels, I was dreading going into work. But then just opening my own business and having that other avenue to say, well, this isn't the only thing I'm doing. I can also gain fulfillment from this side of things.
Right.
Starting back up with the content is another one where I can be like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. That works so well for me, because on terrible days in the gym, I can be like, you know what? I'm providing a service still. Maybe it's not the best thing that I want to be doing, but I also have this avenue and this avenue of an ability to help people.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you got that escape route, it was like a whole new world.
Yeah. I love speech therapy. I think it's so valuable.
Yeah.
I think people realize how valuable it is with kids, but I don't think a lot of
Adults.
people, I think it's really underutilized and not very well known with adults and older adults. I think it's so valuable. I think it's so important. I really love it. I can't do it full time.
Yeah. And
I think that's okay.
It's totally, absolutely okay. And what's so impactful about you and your process is like, I am a very all or nothing type person. So if I was in that scenario, my first instinct is just to quit. But you were able to say, you know what? I can look for something else while I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
And sure, it got really tough towards the end.
It did.
But I think that as you were searching, you started to find some of that light at the end of the tunnel, some of those escape routes, and be like, okay, this is something that maybe I can do.
Yeah.
And like we talked about last week, it's not so much a complete 180. It's more like a 30-degree turn, because you're still very involved in the healthcare system, very involved in similar types of choices that you have to make.
I still have a high touch, high contact job with patients and families.
Right. It's just you're not treating.
I'm not treating. I'm not planning sessions. It's, phone calls.
Yeah,
it's like 10, 15 minute interactions frequently throughout the day.
Yeah.
But I still have lots of time alone in my little hole of an office in my pajamas.
And that's great.
And I love that. There's a lot of, computer work and things like that to kind of break up the day. Which is nice.
I don't think a lot of people recognize how crushing a commute can be.
Especially if you live in a big city or you have a very long commute into a city.
I feel really bad. This is something I feel really bad for people that just like they don't have any other option.
Yeah.
That's just tough.
Yeah. Well, I joined a lot of Facebook groups as I was starting to kind of think about a pivot, and I'm still in them. So I still see posts from time to time. And a lot of them are people ask, like they have 2 job offers and they're trying to compare them. And so they're asking for advice. And so they'll lay out the specs. And it's so funny how there will be one that's like a decent offer, interesting work, decent salary, relatively fair benefits, and a 20-minute commute. And then it's like, you're going to be the medical director of Johns Hopkins. They're going to pay you $1 million a year with no insurance premiums. And it's an hour and a half commute. Which one should I pick? I'm stuck. I can't figure it out. This is my dream job and it's 2 hours away.
So far away. I know.
And then there's this good job that is fine and I will like it and it will pay me and it's right down the street. And what am I going to do?
Honestly, I think becoming an adult,
is a really hard choice.
Becoming an adult is making those choices. Like, it's usually not black and white. It's usually not when you have to make these these adult choices.
Yeah. And a lot of times nobody else can answer it but you.
No, exactly. So you can go and ask for advice, but at the end of the day, for me, having a 20-minute plus commute would take years off of my life and that's a negative on me, but how I interact with traffic, my blood pressure would go through the roof. I promise you, I would be in some serious trouble. Right?
And so that question would then become, is this great job worth moving for?
Right. Do I take the job
and plan my move?
What's so funny is when I started with personal training, the commute was 30 minutes to get to work. And I was opening the gym. I was starting at 5. So that meant I was waking up at like 3:30 to get ready. I like to have a morning where I can kind of be by myself in prayer. So I was building that into my schedule. And I knew within like a week and a half, our lease was ending at that place. I was like, within a couple of months, we have got to move closer. And you were so good about understanding that. That's something I was so thankful for you, because you also were working very far away and we moved farther away from where you were working.
By 10 minutes.
Still, it's a non-trivial thing. That's something I'm so thankful for you because for whatever reason, it was impacting me more than it would have impacted you.
Yeah, I've always, well, not anymore, but I've always, when I've had a commute, and even the days that I go in now, it's always 30-ish minutes.
Right.
Going to elementary school was 30 minutes away. Going to church was 30 minutes away when I was a kid. Thankfully, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's not a 30-minute drive for me. I mean, going to work in Tallahassee was 30 minutes. My first job here was 30 minutes. Yeah. My old job was 30 minutes. Then it became 35, 40.
So you're pretty used to it.
It wasn't a change.
Yeah.
And one of my facilities that I go to now is 40 minutes away. And so that one kind of drives me a little bit crazy. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy listening to my audiobook and driving down the highway.
The truth of it is, you and I are not city people. No. And somehow we have ended up in a city that is not just big, but also growing immensely.
Yeah.
And every day I'm like, get me out of here. This is not where, like, I grew up on an island of 40,000 people.
Yeah.
My class in school was 7 people. That was my class.
Yeah.
I've never been a big city person. I've never been a lot of people person. It just does not provide the benefits that my fantasy that is out of reach is opening a homestead in Montana and just like living on a 10-acre thing of land. Probably never going to happen because I have no farming skills. But when I'm really stressed out in traffic, usually, I can go to that happy place and be like, man, it would be good to be a cowboy and not see a person for a week and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somehow we ended up here.
Maybe if we strike it rich, we could get a summer home in Montana.
I'm buying acres of land. I saw this thing. Have you seen this like homesteading company?
No.
I was scrolling through Instagram Reels.
Of course somebody would capitalize homesteading.
Babe, I'm scrolling through Instagram Reels and the reel starts with, this is a homestead and it's beautiful. When I tell you, it's 10 acres of land. So this company, they do everything. They get the land, they build all the houses, everything. You work with them, designers, architects, all the way through. And then that's your homestead. And it's like 7 houses. So you live there. Your brothers and sisters, your parents, everybody lives on this plot of land.
Your cult members can move in with you.
See, you always take it to the cult level.
I'm kidding. But I do feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of making a homestead. Like having somebody else do it for you.
Okay, sure.
That defeats the purpose completely.
Well, their thing was like all of the rural aesthetics with the modern amenities. We'll do, because nobody has those skills. Nobody has those skills. Name one person you know that could go and build a house. Nobody, right? So I thought it was really interesting. I'm not saying.
I think it's a very interesting idea.
Listen, maybe this company is just providing cult, leaders a place to build their cults, but like for me, I saw that and I was like, wow, this is so interesting.
I think I'm kidding about the cult thing. I think it strikes me as very counterintuitive, I guess, because typically homesteading has like an off-grid vibe.
No, they put you off grid. It's like in Wyoming.
Yeah, but it just seems like a very like modern.
Yeah, that's their tagline.
I don't know. It just seems very weird. Do you not understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but we live in 2023.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
no, I get it. It's just, it seems strange.
I think their main thing was childcare costs are incredible. Insane. Food, you don't know, right? Like famine, drought, whatever. They're saying, and they're coming at it from kind of an apocalyptic perspective. Okay. It was a little it's a little weird. I'm not going to say it was the most like, this makes a lot of sense, but it's like, if you live with a group of people the way that the original homesteaders did, the burden of life becomes easier.
I think that's very true.
I also think that's true.
I think that's very true.
And they talked about how in the 50s, when people were coming back from the war, the GI Bill allowed a lot of people to buy single family homes. Whereas beforehand, in America specifically, it had always been 3 generations were living in the same plot of land. Not always in the same house,
but on the
they
same
were
property.
Always there. So you had 12 kids, but you had grandma and grandpa. You had the older kids that would take care of the younger kids.
You might have had an aunt and uncle.
Maybe an aunt and uncle, right? So it's just an interesting... Does modern life really allow for that? No. And I think a lot of people are isolated because of that. I would like to live closer to our parents.
I would too.
But there are so many things keeping us from that. Cost of living, jobs. It just feels like when you set up your life, you're stuck there.
Yeah. It can be very hard to move.
So this is why I think this company is cool.
That's interesting.
Is because it's like, hey, here we're gonna make this as easy as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, we have that saying, it takes a village.
Right, but nobody
has a village anymore.
Right.
Or it's very hard. It's not the village is not built in.
Caribbean people.
I think there's a lot of cultures that do it really well.
Latin American people.
I think Asian people tend to do, like in China and
basically
Japan,
everybody
have families
but us
that live together. Yeah,
when I was living in Cayman, people were at our house at all times,
and I think that's lovely.
Family members, friends. I was raised by like 8 different women. Like when I tell you, we had a bunch of parents. That was how it went.
Yeah,
and then you come to America, and it's like you're going to sleep over at whose house? I don't know that person. Well, but what, I need a background check, which, okay, yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen to your kids. It just feels like you're missing out. And people are being crushed by the price of childcare. Childcare is insane.
It is so expensive.
Insane.
Yeah.
So if you're able to be like, hey, mom and dad, can you take our child for a little bit? Yeah. They want to see him. You want some time. You got to run an errand. Win-win. And it's better if they're living down the street from you or they're living on the same property as you. So I don't know. I can see the pros. I can also see the cons.
Listen,
the cults don't come for me.
I have the same fantasy, I think, that you do of like,
just not in Montana.
Right. Not somewhere that is going to snow 9 months out of the year.
It's not that cold.
But like to have a little garden and to can the fruit.
But neither of us are good at that.
Make my own butter. Like, bake bread. I can do those things.
Yeah, you can.
Not the growing of a garden.
See, here's the thing.
That's where it all falls apart.
I would have to get really good at being a rancher.
Yeah.
Get my cows and stuff.
Yeah, but
I just don't have those skills.
Yeah. And you're also afraid of touching meat. So how would you butcher the cows?
Well, see, I would have to really have my come to Jesus moment and figure it out. Or yeah, you could be the
You couldn't touch a bruised banana the other day.
Dude. There's something deep in my soul that I was almost throwing up.
I was upstairs and from down in the kitchen I hear and I called it like, what is wrong with you? He's like, the banana.
Dude, it was rotten.
It was not rotten. It was
rotten.
Bruised. It was a bruised banana. It wasn't rotten.
I wonder where I wonder where this came from. Cause any type of food, like, oh God, I saw another reel. I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram. I take Sundays off of Instagram because if I don't, I just become, I'm like very obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I have 2 things to say. I'm obsessed with Instagram because I want to learn about Instagram Reels, and I want to do that, right? I want to make content that engages people and, gets picked up by the algorithm. So I'm always watching to kind of pick up on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a tangent. The reel that I saw was a picture of a girl being like, I'm not hungry anymore. And it was like the chicken had a vein in it. And I felt that deep in my core, dude. Like, something about it, sensory stuff, man. Stuff on my clothes, like when I was a little kid. If it had like the polo thing and it was knit and not stuck on, I wouldn't wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Because it would make me feel whatever.
Yeah.
I've gotten over that. It's food now. Texture, stuff that shouldn't, like if I'm biting into something that's supposed to be soft and there's a crunch, I'm going to throw up. That's just the end
I think
of it.
nobody likes that. I think the throwing up might be a little bit extreme.
Right. I take it a little bit too far.
I've always enjoyed touching food.
Dude, what?
Like cooking.
Oh, no. That's my nightmare.
Like interacting with different I don't know.
I cannot be it's so bad, especially with chicken. I just can't be close to you doing the chicken.
I always like touching egg yolks.
That's not that bad, I guess. I don't eat food with bones in it.
Yeah, I know.
Boneless chicken. I won't eat a T-bone steak. I just won't.
Like not even like with a T-bone steak, a bone that you very easily cut out immediately.
No. If the bone is in there, you're
not interested.
I'm not hungry anymore when I see that. I don't know. Let me know if anybody's like that or you guys think I'm crazy.
There are lots of people like that.
I think so, but I take it to a new level.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a fitness question on this fitness podcast? We're 40 minutes in.
Are we?
This is one of those. Listen. Oh, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. It's our 7-year anniversary coming up.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, coming up. Try tomorrow.
Okay. I knew it was tomorrow. It's coming up.
I know it's tomorrow. But it's just funny. It's coming up sounds like it's 2 weeks away. It's tomorrow.
She's never going to let me live it down.
Yes, I am.
Semantics with you is very important.
I just think it's very funny.
Yeah, it
was a funny way of putting it.
You gotta have the correct structure and syntax of a sentence, or it's not. Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
7 years married. How long have we been together? 12?
Yeah.
13 maybe?
12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. Wow. We're almost to the point where we have been together longer than we were apart.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We're past the point where we've known each other for more than half of our lives.
That's true. You've been in my life
since
I was...
We met at 12.
13.
12.
Yeah,
so
I was 12, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So we're past the point of we've known each other for more than half of our lives.
That's crazy.
We're almost to the point where we have been together for over half of our lives.
That's so funny.
It is. It's weird, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not saying that to say like, oh God.
But it is strange to think about. It's like this one person has been the top person in my life.
Yeah, I just think it's
over half of it.
It's weird because nothing is that constant anymore. You know what I mean? Like people, even friends. You fall in and out of friends based on different content, like when you're in high school versus when you're in college, which is when you're at work, people that you're close with, people that you're not so close with.
You come in and out of different circles throughout your whole life.
Right.
I think that's normal to, have it kind of wax and wane.
Yeah, but it's weird that
to have one person who forever.
I guess your parents, you're close with your parents until they pass away.
Hopefully.
In a long, long time.
Yeah. Many, many, many years far away.
But yeah, like someone that you choose, like you don't choose your parents.
Right. Or your siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Family's pretty much with you for life.
But to choose somebody and then be with them, I don't know.
It's wonderful.
Getting a little sentimental.
I think it's wonderful.
But yeah. So 12 years together, 7 years of marriage coming up tomorrow. That's awesome.
Yeah. High five.
High five. We did it. We're
doing it.
I think there was a statistic about like half of the divorces happen pre 7 years.
Really?
So we're in it for the long haul now. Once you pass 7, it's like you're going to 60.
Well, don't people talk about that? Like the 7-year itch? Isn't that like a thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That must be what I'm thinking of.
I think that's probably what you're thinking of.
What the hell is that?
I think that's a celebrity thing.
Oh, it's gotta be. Well, none of those marriages are real.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want you to know that. I want everybody sitting here.
It's all a
There's
stunt.
a marketing team that says, hey, what would look good?
Let's pair up.
Let's put these two people together.
They have a vibe.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It's not real. Unless they're married, like the ones where they're married to like a real estate agent or like a dentist, those are real. But if it's two celebrities, it's not real. A marketing team has put that together for your enjoyment.
Yeah, isn't like Tom Hanks married to some like normal lady?
I think so. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch
and
of them
they've been married for like 40 years.
Dude, there's a bunch of them.
Because she's not an actress.
Exactly. Don't listen. Anybody in the industry or another actor, it's not going to work. The schedule is just so incredibly insane. Like from someone who worked on the other side of the camera, this schedule is absurd.
Unbelievable.
You're traveling probably 50% of the year. The days that you're not traveling, when you're still working, those are 12, 13-hour days plus.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to sustain. Like no shade. It's hard to sustain a relationship like that. So I don't know. That was a big factor in me kind of leaving the business. So I realized it wasn't my dreams of being the next Roger Deakins was not more important than being with you.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Well, you know, you're a great person.
I'm glad that you're not working 16-hour work shifts anymore. Those were tough days.
Those were really hard days.
Yeah.
And what sucked even worse about it was I was doing all the grunt work because I was just starting out. And so it was like you'd work 16-hour days and you wouldn't get paid for 4 of them.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we don't have money to pay you for overtime. It's like, well, I can't just leave.
Right.
Like I got to pack up the truck. So
Right.
I'm going to work for 4 hours without getting paid for it.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the life,
It's
man.
a very tough industry.
It is a tough industry, and it's one in which you feel bad for not being a team player. And when you make decisions outside of being a team player, there's a tendency for you to not get hired anymore, especially like at the beginning. I can't speak to when you become established in a union and you have more protections over you. I can only speak to freelance film work.
Yeah.
Usually independent films is what I worked on. And there are
no rules.
no rules. It is a free for all.
Yeah. I think it's very hard for a lot of people in many different industries to set boundaries
Yes.
at work.
Yeah.
And people want, I think, to feel like they're a part of the team and like being a team player.
Yeah.
But I think that becomes for, a lot of managers kind of a toxic way of getting people to do more than they've necessarily signed on for.
I think it's on the manager to build a culture in which
there are boundaries.
Like it always has to flow from the top down because no matter what, if you are an employee and you start going against the grain, there's going to be a negative connotation with management with that. That's just the work culture that we've built.
Yeah.
So it's on the manager to be like, yo, no, take a vacation, no overtime. You are not going to be looked at any worse than anybody else if you leave at 5 instead of 5:30. Like that just needs to be set from the top down.
Yeah, I got told that
exactly
2 weeks ago. My manager was like, listen,
go on
you've
vacation.
got to take some days off.
Yeah.
You are going to lose them
Yeah.
if you do not take them. I'm telling you, pick a day.
Yeah.
How does August sound to you? Maybe September, perhaps the holidays.
Yeah.
Tell me when you won't be here and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and
you've got to use this time.
And I think we're definitely getting a lot better about that. And we're also
Yeah.
I think a lot of employees are starting to, speak up, ask, but there has to, I do think also that is becoming incredibly toxic.
Yeah.
Because there was the huge quiet quitting movement and
Yeah.
nothing quiet is going to achieve the result that you want.
Yeah.
Be an adult and talk to the people above you, below you. Just communicate.
Yeah.
This quiet whatever,
Yeah.
quiet breakup or quiet quitting or whatever. No. Make the choice. Do
And
the
own it.
thing.
Own it.
Own it.
Yeah.
That is a choice. Whether that means you go and have a hard conversation with your boss or your spouse or you quit that job. That is your choice. You have to own it. You have to get to a better, but just half-assing your job, that is the coward's way out.
Yeah. I think it's important to work hard and have your boundaries.
Right.
And if your boundaries are being messed with, to talk to your boss about it. I think that's really important.
Easier said than done, but that's life, baby.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have hard conversations. You cannot just drift through life being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
That has been shown to me time and time again. I don't like confrontation. I'd rather not be in a hard conversation with my boss or with one of the clients. But if you don't, I had to have a hard conversation with someone who was constantly showing up late to sessions. First session in the morning, scheduled for 6 a.m., showing up at 6:15. Constantly. And I let it happen. I said, oh, it's early in the morning, whatever. 3 months in, it's still happening. And I had to sit down with them and say, listen, we can move you to 6:30. We can move you to 7. It seems like 6 is becoming very difficult for you to make it on time. What needs to happen so that my time is respected and your time is respected? Because you're working out for 10 minutes.
Right. They've lost half of their session at that point. You have somebody coming in at 6:30.
Did I want to have that conversation?
I'm sure it's awkward.
Absolutely not. It's horrible.
Did it go okay?
It went perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'm no longer coaching this person. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
They decided
working out isn't for me.
Exactly.
Well,
I have not seen them in the gym.
Okay. Well, they're not wasting your time anymore.
They're no longer wasting my time. Okay. But
they might find their way back later, do some self-reflection. You never know.
Here's the thing.
It clearly wasn't working.
I only work in the mornings. Yeah. This person may have thrived with a trainer at 4:30 or 5 p.m.
Sure.
But they tried to manipulate their schedule around my schedule and it didn't work. We always were when they came in for the workout, they were exhausted. They were not getting quality work done anyway.
Wasn't working. Yeah.
That is neither of our faults. You have to fitness. You knew I was going to bring the fitness into this. We did it. We made it.
Nice.
You have to find ways to make fitness and a fitness plan and schedule work around your needs and your wants in terms of how you want your day to look. We see all the time you got to be up at 4 a.m. And if you're not up at 4 a.m., you're not an alpha male. Shut up. Some people do not work well in the mornings. It's scientifically proven. Go read the book, Why We Sleep. There are people who work better at night.
Yeah.
And who their brain is just not working from the hours of 6 to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So then in that case, you'd want to do low impact work in the morning, a higher focus task in the afternoon, and then work out late at night or later at night. Do not conform to the gym culture that says if you're not in there at 5 a.m., you don't care about your body, you don't care about making a change. Baloney. Respectfully, it's garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to make stuff work for you in every season of life, right? Find something that works for your days right now. At some point, your life will change.
Yep.
Maybe you start a new relationship. Maybe you have a kid.
Yep.
Maybe you have to, move somewhere else.
The gym is farther away. You can't fit it in at your lunch
break. You get
anymore.
a new job.
Yes.
I mean, we all go through seasons and changes in our life. Change your habits accordingly, adjust your schedule in the gym, adjust the types of workouts that you're doing, get a trainer or a coach if you have time. And, it's the right season for that.
The unfortunate thing about it is the number of people I have lost in terms of clients because a major life factor happened is astronomical. When in actuality, it's going to be uncomfortable for the first couple of weeks to months. But you can still continue to make positive steps towards change.
Right.
Just in a different way.
You might have to change the time that you work out. You might have to find a new gym.
Yeah.
You might work out at home for a season and then come back to the gym later.
This is something I've been thinking about.
That's okay.
We've been talking about having kids. And I have been thinking, I'm in the gym from 12 to 2. That's probably not going to be feasible, at least for the first couple of years. How am I going to, find different workouts are going to have to be shorter. Times are going to have to be different. The style of training may have to change a little bit. I'm preparing myself for that.
You might have to work out on different days of the week.
I'm preparing myself for that process. And I think it's incredibly important if you know that there's a major, say your lease is up and you're moving in 3 months, but you've been using the apartment gym at your current facility, but the apartment you're moving to doesn't have a great gym. Start putting into practice some ways that you can continue, because exercise is so incredible. It should always be one of the top 5 things that you keep in your life.
Some form.
In some way. I'm not lying to you. The science bears it out. This is not just me shouting from the top of a mountaintop.
You're not making this up.
Although I am the fitness prophet, I'm saying to you, the science will show you mental health, physical health, longevity, all will be impacted by a positive fitness routine. So when you know something is coming up, even for a week, you have to start to plan, how am I going to continue to keep these pillars of my life going?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I think that's really important. And yeah, like you said, if you know a change is coming up, think about it now,
Right.
so that you can have at least a general idea of
Right.
what you're going to do.
Because
you're not going to be able to exactly plan
Like
it
I
out
always
because you
say,
don't know how the change is going to go.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? But if you don't have a plan and you get punched in the mouth, you're much more likely to run away.
Yeah.
If you have the plan, you get punched in the mouth, you say, oh my God, okay, well, I'm going to have to change the plan.
Yeah, let's adjust the plan.
Right. So, all these platitudes, failing to plan is planning to fail. All this stuff. It's
all
platitudes
true.
because it's
It's
real.
true.
Because it's true. These are all cliches and we hear them so much and we start to disbelieve them, but they are all true.
Right. They all became a platitude or a cliche because they had
They're
a
true.
basis. Yeah.
So I don't know. It took us 50 minutes for me to get on my soapbox, but we managed to do it.
We did it.
Can't go an episode without me yelling into the microphone.
That's why we love you.
We're going to call it there.
All
Thank
right.
you guys so much for watching. We're going to keep doing them. Every time we
Yeah.
do this, I tell you, this could be the last one. You never know. There will probably be another one. I'll tell you what, if the air conditioning is not fixed, there's not going to be another one. I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Got it.
Done.
Noted.
No more podcasts.
Noted.
So send a letter to air conditioner repair people all over the world.
Troy Barnes, help us.
Yeah, we need the truest repairman. If you like this episode, please like it on YouTube. I'm very
Share
bad.
it.
Share it around. I'm very bad with Spotify because I have to do it physically myself and I forget. So I think we're 2 episodes behind on the audio only version. None of you guys are watching it on Spotify or listening to it on Spotify anyway.
So put it up when you put it up.
I don't care. But yeah, subscribe to the channel. A lot of good stuff coming out for the rest of the year. We hope you've had a good beginning of the year. If you haven't, there's 6 months to turn it around.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. You still got time.
Beautiful thing.
See you later. We love you.
Love ya.
Bye.